Hello, this is Susan, and welcome to Sequel Ramblings. Now, if you're wondering why I was making a face at the camera right there, it was because I just thought I filmed all of this, and it turned out that I wasn't filming. After all these years, you'd think I'd be tech-savvy, and apparently I am not. So, let's do this again. This is unscripted. So if I ramble off in a tangent, I do apologize. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we are going to be talking about the Dragonheart series. I watched the original Dragonheart not that long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it was nice watching it again. I was reminded as to why I loved that movie, and it made me want to read the book, because the book is pretty much the movie on steroids. The book was written by the screenwriter, I believe, and it was pretty much what he wanted to have happen in the movie, but obviously couldn't due to, the limitations of when it was filmed and obviously budget reasons. Excuse me. Dragonheart. It's quite obvious that it was meant to be a standalone film. And then they made Dragonheart: A New Beginning. Atrocious. It was awfully atrocious. If Sequel Critic is still up on YouTube, I'm not sure if it is or not. But if it is, I did do a review of it, a very bad review. I wouldn't recommend watching it because I'm just not cut out for web shows, but vlogging is fine. Anyway, it was not a good movie. It was obviously trying to cash in on the original movie, and it just fell flat on its face. I mean, the dragon looked like he came out of a PlayStation 2 game, his name being Drake. The only good thing about it was, the fight scene between him and the evil Chinese dragon, and even that was kind of laughable. It wasn't a good movie. So, about, 5 or so years ago, they did a third movie for Dragonheart, and they had Patrick Stewart play the dragon, and his name was Drago or something like that, but we'll just call him Patrick Stewart. And they did a sequel to that movie, and then they did another sequel where they had the dragon be female, and it was played by Helena Bonham Carter. So we have two new dragons, Patrick Stewart and Helena Bonham Carter. Who? Now, to be honest with you, I didn't watch the third movie, and I don't have a plan to, because it sounded like it was very, very much like the original Dragonheart. But here's the catch. The dragons are apparently aliens. Aliens. Why? Why did you have to make them aliens? You didn't have to do that. It's... whatever. Not going to watch that one. However, I did watch the fourth one, and I did watch the fifth one. The fourth one was rather interesting. Pretty much, I'm going to try to summarize what happened in it, and it's been a while since I've seen it, so I am probably just going to really summarize what I remember, so bear with me. I believe the fourth one opens up where the king, who Patrick Stewart shared his heart with, has died of old age. Everyone is shocked, though, that Patrick Stewart didn't die, so Patrick Stewart realizes that's because the king's son must still be alive, so he goes to seek out the king's son. Well, it turns out that the king's son is dead, and that the king's son had twins, a boy and a girl, and they both have a deformity where the girl has scales on her face, and she's shunned for it, and the boy has scales on his back, so he keeps it hidden, he's not shunned for it. The boy has super strength, pretty much the strength of the dragon. And the girl has the dragon's powers, something like that. So pretty much the main gist of that movie is that Patrick Stewart is trying to get the two twins to reconcile because they've been estranged. And to get them to reconcile so then they can save the day has something to do with, I think, a comment or something. I don't really remember much of the movie. I do know that I did somewhat enjoy it until the end, because they end up, joining forces, they save the day, and for some stupid reason, Patrick Stewart dies. They had to have him die to tie it into the first movie, I suppose, because they did this stupid thing where he dies and he goes up into the sky like in the original movie. The stars all combine. It does the explosion thing. They do the reflection in the eyeball. It was stupid. So I think when I saw that part of the movie, it just kind of went. I just noped my way out of it. Like, you know what? I did like this film until he did that. But pretty much that was the gist of that movie. I mostly enjoyed it except for the end. And I still felt like it was unnecessary, though, because, again, the original Dragonheart was a standalone film. So, when the 5th movie came out, I originally had no intention of watching it, but because Helena Bonham Carter was in it, and because Meg loves Helena Bonham Carter, she wanted to see it, and I'm like, okay, we'll see it. I will say right now, to the movie's credit, out of all the sequels, it was the most original. But was it good? No, it was not. So I'm going to try to summarize what happens in this film. And again, if I ramble, it's unscripted, hence the reason why this series is called Sequel Ramblings. So what happens in the beginning of the movie, we get introduced to the protagonist, who's this young boy, and he's very annoying. His family gets killed by a bunch of evil mercenaries, and the only reason why he wasn't killed was because he was hiding. Now, before they go and burn down his house and leave, he's spying on them and he finds out where they're going to go. They split up. So after they burn down his house and he vows vengeance, he goes into town to seek out mercenaries of his own to get revenge. Now, he comes across like this girl in the market, and he's staring longingly at her, and the movie's trying to act like it's all sweet and stuff because he's kind of being stalkerish, but in reality it's like this boy's a creep, but apparently she's wooed by him or whatever. So anyway, he goes into a bar, and he's trying to get these men to, he's trying to hire these men to be mercenaries, and they're kind of laughing at him and whatnot. And then who I'm going to call Bowen 2.0 comes into the scene and pretty much offers to be his mercenary and says, I can do the job of all these men at once or something. So this big bar fight happens, the boy escapes, and he hears that he can possibly seek out help from the exiled dragon who lives off in the woods. Now, this dragon, who's Helena Bonham Carter, I don't know what the name of the dragon is, I can't remember, so I'm just going to call her Helena Bonham Carter. She's shunned by the realm because she refused to save the king when he asked to be saved. But, we see the king at the beginning of the movie, and he looks fine as a pickle, so I don't know why he needed to be saved, but whatever. So he goes and seeks out Helena Bonham Carter. She pretty much says, you shouldn't be seeking revenge. Murdering and killing these mercenaries is not the answer, so the boy storms off in a huff. He goes to sleep or something. I don't remember if he went to sleep or he got knocked out. But when he wakes up, he has like a horse now, a horse that came out of nowhere who's very friendly. He's like, oh, okay, so he just goes with it, and he comes across Bowen 2.0 again, and Bowen 2.0 still wants to help him, and gets paid and whatever. So they go off to go and try to track down the mercenaries, and all the while Bowen 2.0 is shit talking the dragon, and as he's shit-talking the dragon, the horse is acting very annoyed, and at one point the horse poops all over his stuff, and then it's later revealed that the horse is actually the dragon, Helena Bonham Carter. Because apparently dragons can turn into other animals. Now, I think the reason why they thought this was plausible was because in the first movie, Draco turned himself into a rock, but he didn't really turn himself into a rock. He was camouflaged. And, reptiles can do that. Can reptiles turn into a bird? No, they can't turn into a bird, they can't turn into a horse, and they can't turn into a cat. That's right, a cat. But we'll get into that later. So she reveals herself. Bowen 2.0 is kind of gripey about it, and they decide to just continue to go on the adventure. I think Bowen 2.0 gets pissy about, the boy wanting to stick with Helena Bonham Carter, so he storms off in a huff. And Helena Bonham Carter and the boy, they find the first mercenary that they tracked down. They're fighting him and stuff, and the fight scene was so ridiculous. I might be getting this wrong. I do apologize, because again, the movie didn't stick with me too much. But they're fighting the mercenary, and they decide to not kill him Helena Bonham Carter is like, we can use him to find the others. So that curbs the boy's bloodlust. And at some point, the boy, like, tears off the mercenary's hat, and then he's, like, shocked because the mercenary has been scalped. So I guess we're supposed to assume you're supposed to feel bad for him that happened. So anyway, they track down one of the other mercenaries, who was a girl. And they see that Bowen 2.0 has tagged along with him after all, although he's acting like he hasn't, but we all know that he does, he likes the boy. So he tries to sneak into the hut that, the mercenary girl is in, and he falls through the roof and reveals himself. So this huge fight scene. Helena Bonham Carter freezes the shack and stuff, and they capture the girl, but then the scalped mercenary runs off and escapes. So Bowen 2.0 goes into the shack, and he sees that, there was someone who was in the process of gonna burn like a piece of paper. They didn't get to burn it though because they got frozen. So he takes the piece of paper. They go back into town and they bring the girl to the jailer, and the jailer's daughter and the protagonist get reunited, and some corny stupid crap. Like at one point in the film they have Helena Bonham Carter giving the boy advice on how to woo a woman, and it was so bloody stupid. But another mercenary shows up. And, before we get to that part, Bowen 2.0 is in a pub or something, and he's looking at the paper, and he decodes it and realizes that the paper is pretty much an order from the king himself giving orders to these mercenaries. So this king is purposely having these mercenaries wreak havoc throughout the realm, pillaging and killing peasants just so that he can look good when he saves the day. And for some reason, the king is in the pub, and he, threatens Bowen 2.0 and whatnot. And then, fast forward to the jail, another mercenary shows up. We're just going to call him Snake Man. And Snake Man, he frees the girl, and they pretty much severely wound the jailer, and they cause a fire in the jailhouse and stuff. And, Helena Bonham Carter later on reveals, to the protagonist that she saved Bowen 2.0 as a kid, and Bowen 2.0 does know that she saved him and whatnot, because they have a psychic connection, and that's how he found her in the first place, I think. But anyway, she pretty much reveals to Bowen 2.0 that, because his whole thing is that when he was a child, he was in this carriage with his parents, and this man in his own carriage and with some type of flag, or he perceived it as some type of flag, he ran them off the road, which caused his parents to die. But what really happened, and this is what Helena Bonham Carter reveals to both of them, was that it was the king and his men who ran Bowen 2.0's family off the road. That was when he got injured in the battle, and he wanted to be brought to the dragon so he could get her strength by getting half her heart, even though he wasn't really that gravely injured. So pretty much she reveals that the king was the reason why his parents were dead, and that's why she didn't really want Bowen 2.0 to try to seek revenge, because she wanted to protect him and whatnot. So he gets kind of pissy about that and whatnot, and they argue a little bit. So Bowen 2.0 and the boy decide to go off and try to, hunt down the mercenaries, while Helena Bonham Carter decides she's going to turn herself into a cat and see if she can get, the piece of paper that, some piece of paper that pretty much proves that the king has been sending these mercenaries out on purpose to pillage and whatnot. And she also says that this piece of paper will prove her innocence and prove that, she isn't a traitor to the realm after all. So she's on the verge of almost getting the piece of paper. And then she gets a psychic vision from Bowen 2.0 that reveals that he's in grave danger, and that the boy is getting attacked by the woman. Bowen 2.0 is fighting Snake Man, and the boy is fighting the woman, and the woman, severely injured the boy, so it looks like he's on the verge of possibly getting killed. So Helena Bonham Carter turns herself back into a dragon, revealing herself to the king and whatnot, and she flies out of the castle to go and save Bowen 2.0 and the boy. And, obviously the king has the piece of paper burned after that. So when she gets there, it looks like the boy is dead. And she just goes on a rampage and starts attacking. And then the girl mercenary is begging for mercy, and, Helena Bonham Carter is just seeing red because, she thinks the boy is dead, so she brutally kills the mercenary, and then it's revealed that, the boy's okay after all. So what happens next, from what I can remember, is that the boy wakes up in a monastery or something, and the jailer's daughter's there wooing over him, and they go to take a walk outside, and then the king shows up with a bunch of men, with a bunch of his soldiers and, the town folk for some reason. And he's like trying to arrest the boy because he, attacked the jailer to free the mercenaries, which obviously that did not happen because the jailer knew that the boy was innocent. It was just the king was using an excuse to go after the boy. So Helena Bonham Carter shows up and she calls out the king, pretty much saying, it's like, you're the one sending the mercenaries after the village, after the realm, and after the peasants. And he's like, oh, you can't prove anything and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, Bowen 2.0 shows up, and he has the mercenary, the scalped mercenary who escaped earlier in the film. And I believe it goes about that the scalped mercenary used to be like a knight of the realm, and he stood against the king, and the king had him scalped as a punishment, and then forced him to do the mercenary thing. So I guess they were trying to redeem him in a sense. Like, oh, well, I only, pillaged and killed people because of the king. And then all these other people in the court are revealing, oh, yes, he told me to do this. Oh, yes, he told me to do that. And then pretty much the king gets arrested and is revealed to be a evil tyrant. And the movie ends where they're back at the lad's farm, and it's rebuilt, and amazingly, it looks exactly as it did before it was burned down. So obviously they filmed this before they filmed the end of the movie first. And, there's like this big party going on, and Helena Bonham Carter is flying about in the sky because she can finally be free, and that she's not hated by the people anymore, and it's pretty much a happy ending. Again, this movie, compared to the others, was more original, but it was not good. I mean, the only good thing about it really was Helena Bonham Carter. You could tell that she was having fun with the role. Bowen 2.0 was okay, I suppose. The king was so blaringly, obviously evil, and the acting was so bad. Like, the action sequences were bad, the acting was bad, the villains were all laughable, like, they were so, like, obvious. It was pretty much a cliche how they were acting. I would say, like, the fourth movie, the one about the twins, was better thought out, better acted, and what killed that one was the bloody ending. This one had more of an original plot, and maybe if it had better acting, it would have been better, or maybe just get rid of the boy. They could have just had it be about Bowen 2.0. That would have been more interesting. And the bloody love story between the boy and the jailer's daughter, it was just so stupid. I wouldn't say that these sequels are necessarily horrendous. They're mediocre at best, but they're definitely not necessary, and I do feel like they taint the original movie. I mean, I don't know why they keep on popping up with these sequels. I mean, I guess, like, the third, fourth, and fifth movie, you can argue are supposed to be prequels, but there was, like, this thing at the beginning of the fifth movie where they show, like, text and stuff, and they mention Draco, so it's like, so is it supposed to be a prequel, or is it supposed to be a sequel? Make up your minds. Overall, these movies are unnecessary, and I really hope that they stop making them. If you enjoy them, that's fine. But to me, they're just kind of a waste of time. I digress. Well, hopefully you all are all staying safe. We're still in the middle of the pandemic. The first episode that I filmed was back at the end of April, I believe. I haven't posted it yet. I'm not even sure if I'm going to post this series or not, but hey, if you see this online, then obviously I did. This one is being filmed in July. It's July 9th, actually. And the pandemic is still going on. So, if the pandemic is still going on when this is posted, please stay safe. And when you're going out in public, please wear a face mask. Bloody hell. Well, this is Susan. Cheerio.